Ansel Adams was born on February 20th, 1902 in San Francisco, California. He was an only child. He was the son of Charles Hitchcock Adams, a businessman, and Olive Bray. In 1906, an earthquake hit and Adams was in it. He also broke his nose during the earthquake. Adams' uncle was a wealthy timber baron. A timber baron is a person who cuts down trees. Adams had a hard time fitting in school because of his broken nose. He was not a successful student in all the schools his parents sent him. Since he did not do a good job in school, he was tutored at home from his father and his aunt. Adams enjoyed music as a young boy. When he was 12 years old, he taught himself how to play the piano and read music. Later on, he gave up music for photography. Adams enjoyed taking long walks by the Golden Gate Bridge. He went to Sierra for the very first time to take pictures, and he used a Kodak #1 box brownie that his parents gave him. Ansel spent hiking, climbing, and exploring around Yosemite. Yosemite is in California. He spent substantial time at Yosemite. In 1919, he joined the Sierra Club and spent the first of 4 summers in Yosemite Valley as keeper of the club's LeConte Memorial Lodge. In 1922, Adams' first published photographs and writing appeared in the club's bulletin. Ansel Adams met his wife, Virginia, in Yosemite and got married in 1928. Adams had his first one-man exhibition in 1928 at the club's San Francisco headquarters. Each summer, the club conducted a month-long high trip which attracted many members. In the late 1920s, Adams realized that he made enough money to survive. By 1934, Adams was elected the club's board of directors. 1927 was the most important part of his life because he made his first visualized photograph monolith, the face of Half Dome. He also made his first high trip. Edward and Adams became very close friends and colleagues. Adams made long trips to the Southwest to work with Mary Austin. She was the grande dame of the Western literati. Together they made a limited edition book, Taos Pueblo. The book was published in 1930. 1930 was the same year he met a photographer, Paul Strand, whose images inspired Adams in the 1920s. Then Adams began to pursue straight photography. Adams' star rose rapidly in the early 1930s. In 1932, he gave his first one-man museum show. He went to New York in 1933 for the very first time to meet Alfred Stieglitz, an artist that Adams admired. Although Adams was from the West, he spent more time in New York to work and meet new artists. In 1933, the Delphic Gallery gave Adams his first New York show. Adams' first series of technical articles was published in Cameracraft in 1934. The book Making a Photograph appeared in 1935, and Stieglitz also gave him his first show at an American place. Being recognized did not help Adams with his financial pressures. He wrote a letter dated August 6, 1935. The letter said, on July 2, 1938, he wrote to a friend, David McAlpin, about his work and that he needs to get back on track. Adams had a lot of money problems and he worried. Adams' work was a legend. Weston and Strand often consulted him for technical advice. He created 10 volumes of manuals on photographies. Adams never had a day of vacations, holidays, or Sundays in his life. After he had finished his work, he would come back to San Francisco or Yosemite to get rid of the flu, and he did that by spending several days in bed. He traveled most of the time in his life, whether it's far or not. His work is shown in the Museum of Modern Arts. Nancy Newhall, a historian and a museum administrator, worked with Adams in the 1950s and 60s. They made lots of books and exhibitions of historic significance. Adams' environmental issues were Yosemite National Park, the park system, and most important was the preservation of wilderness. He fought for nature and he treated his opponent with respect. On April 12, 1977, he wrote to his publisher Tim Hill, "I know I shall be castigated by a large group of people today, but I was trained to assume that art related to the exclusive quality of beauty, and that purpose of art was concerned with the elevation spirit." Adams is often criticized for not including humans or evidence of humanity in his landscape photographs. Henri Cartier, the great French photographer, made the well-known comment that the world is falling to pieces and all Adams in Western photograph is rocks and trees. There is only a little amount of truly protected wilderness in America, most of it saved because of Adams and his colleagues. Adams died on April 22, 1984 in Monterey, California. Adams was the last and defining figure in the Romantic of the 19th century American landscape artist. Many people today are inspired by Ansel Adams. I hope that my work will encourage self-expression in others and stimulate the search for beauty and creative excitement in the great world around us. Ansel Adams.